Good morning, everyone. My name is Bacola Adishakana Cobb, and I'm the Assistant Director of Student Success here at CCA. And I want to thank you for joining us for our first collaborative workshop between the Career Development Office and Office of Student Success. So we're going to get started and talk about how to get your first part-time job. And I want to remind everyone, this session will be recorded. Part-time jobs everywhere. So with this meme, as you could probably tell, the character on your left looks like the individual getting ready for this process, looking anxious, looking nervous. And then the individual on the right appears to be guiding this person, hopefully installing confidence in this person. So hopefully throughout the next 20 minutes, you will learn more about the Career Development Office, ISAP, and the resources and tools needed in your as you embark this new journey with getting your first part-time job. So the breakdown over the next 20 minutes, I will first talk about the benefits of part-time employment, followed by resources at CCA. I will briefly discuss resumes, cover letters, interviewing, student voice, and finally we'll conclude with more questions from you. So let's get started with my story. So when I was an undergraduate, my first part-time job was in retail. So it wasn't a work study job, but it was like my first time applying for a job. And back then it was a paper application. And so I had all these mixed feelings. I was anxious, I was excited, I was nervous. I had all these ideas of like what it's going to look like. How will it conflict with my job? How will it conflict with my schoolwork? How will I be able to have a social life? So I just wanted to share with you, my first job was retail, and I found it to have a lot of benefits. So some of the benefits of part-time employment: you get to earn extra money. One of the things that I developed as a student and working part-time in retail, it definitely gave me a better sense of confidence. And really what was important was managing my time. So I was able to have a really flexible schedule, which I was really happy about, and able for me to kind of set days aside where I would work, in the evening times for 2-3 hours. And I would also designate one full day of just studying, but it really helped me manage my time. I also developed new friendships, networking. One of the true perks is I got 40% off at the clothing store that I worked, the place that I worked out. So that was definitely a perk. And you also get to gain transferable skills, which are abilities you can transfer from one job to another. And you also get to develop interpersonal skills, which are behaviors and tactics people use to interact with others effectively. And so one example for me working in retail is I learned how to be patient. I learned how to be an active listener. So these are some of the many benefits of part-time employment for students. Now let's talk about the CC resources available to you. So I want to briefly talk about the work study program at CCA. There are 2 part-time on-campus student employment programs at CCA. First, we have the federal work study funds, and we also have the institutional work study funds. And this website also have off-campus employment. And don't worry about taking notes. This session is recorded, and you can request a copy of this workshop by sending me an email or also Panopto, and we'll talk about that later. But future questions regarding work study should be directed to the Financial Aid Office at finaid@cca.edu. Another resource at CCA is the Career Development Office, and let's take a look at that. So the great thing is that you get to see upcoming events from the career fair. You can also schedule a one-on-one appointment. We have many resources, the first, how to write a resume, cover letters. We have a lot of different templates you can use. We encourage you to join Handshake to get connected with employers, jobs, internships, and recruiting events. We also have information about international students and job boards. So with the job board, it talks about the different disciplines specifically catered to maybe your specific program if you're interested. Design job boards, fine arts and humanities job boards, work from home job boards, freelance opportunities, and hiring trends as well. So I encourage everyone to check out the Career Development Office page to learn more. And now I want to introduce to you Emily Maloney, who is the Assistant Director of International Student Affairs and Programs. Thank you, Emily, for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I'm just going to do a brief piece for international students who may be interested in your first part-time job. Some of the requirements can look a little different for work authorization depending on your visa status. So this is specific to F1 visa holders. And the main points are just that on-campus work you are eligible for from the moment that you start your first class at CCA. So anything of the institutional work study positions that you see on the Workday job board that Bukola just showed, international students are eligible for. For off-campus work, that does require extra authorization from the ISAP office that would show on your immigration document, the I-20. So you are allowed to do off-campus work as an F1 international student, but the important thing to know is that there is an eligibility requirement of 1 year of study before you're able to do off-campus employment, and this authorization is called CPT. We authorize it by term and by employer. So if you got an internship over the summer, you would get the offer first, and we'd authorize CPT for that employer for that term that you're doing it in. And each subsequent term or employer would require a new authorization. All of the work, if it's off campus, must have a curricular connection. So you must be able to show how it's related to your degree program, and you must have authorization before you start working. So if you are an international student who is interested in doing part-time work off campus, please do come make an appointment with us, look at the portal page, reach out, and we can walk you through the process. If you're an international student interested in work study positions at the college, you can go on to Workday and apply for those as of right now.
Great. Thank you so much, Emily. So we've talked, Emily has provided more insight into ISAP. I've discussed the resources. Now let's briefly talk about your resume, cover letter, and interview skills. And I can't stress enough briefly, because with the Career Development Office, we have workshops and designated to resumes, cover letters, which is definitely more involved and much longer than 20 minutes. So resumes. Resumes traditionally are one page, one size, customized to you. And I want you to think about, when you have this one document, employers on average have 6 to 7 seconds to look at your resume. So some of the sections that you really want to include in your resume are 4 things primarily: your contact information, your name, your phone number, email address. So for email address, I also encourage you to have a professional email address, something, not a nickname. You can even use your school email as well, and location. So you don't have to put your physical street address, but just a city and state will be fine. Experience. So under the experience, you want to think about your jobs. You want to think about something that you've done, internships, projects, freelance. So this section is things that you've worked, things that, internships. I can't stress that enough. You also want to include your education, followed by the school name, your location, your degree, your graduation date. And it's okay to put anticipated graduation date. So if you're planning to graduate in spring 2023, just put anticipated May 2023. You also want to have a section for miscellaneous things like languages. Do you speak a second language? Any award? Are you a recipient of a scholarship? your volunteer experience. So I want to encourage you to try to include all of these items. And let's say if you don't have volunteer experience, it's okay. The goal is to get you the job, to get you in front of the interview, and to find your first time job. Cover letters. The purpose of the cover letter is to show employers why you're a good fit for their company. So this means, what is your worst flaw? I'm too awesome. You probably don't want to say that, but the goal is to really build confidence. The goal is for you to tell yourself, like, I'm the best person for this job, even if it's a part-time job. That's the goal. But then also, we're human. I'm human, you're human. We are flawed individuals. We do make mistakes, but you really want to convince yourself and tell yourself that your skill set is your skill set, your education, your work experience, all of those things contribute to who you are as an individual and why you're the best candidate for that position. Cover letters are pretty brief and concise. You want to make sure that you have the why, the what, and the conclusion. Why you're reaching out to them, what makes you a good fit for this role. I also encourage students to try to avoid repetition. So anything that's on your resume, you don't have to verbatim say, I will be graduating from CCA in spring of 2023, because it's on your resume. But you can phrase it to talk about your experiences at CCA and why that's a good fit for this role, even if it's for a part-time or for your career. And you also want to conclude, I look forward to hearing from you, Sue, but we have samples of cover letters on our website, and you can also make an appointment to meet with someone one-on-one. A few tips about cover letters. FYI, I can probably assure you it takes much longer than 15 minutes, and you might have a few, additions before you get that right one. Be mindful of how you say things. So that kind of involves your tone. Focus on the we, us, team, opposed to I. And you also want to not include I in your resume, or me, or my. Cover letters are typically one page, 3 to 4 paragraphs, and you're going to write in basic paragraph forms, which means that you're going to use complete sentences. You're going to have a subject, a verb. Think about those things in grammar on your formal English classes. And I encourage you to have someone double check your cover letter. Make an appointment with me, make an appointment with someone from our career development office team. And you might have to write multiple times before you get that right one. So I encourage you to be patient with yourself. Interviewing. So 4 things about interviewing. Body language. Experts say that you can judge by just a 10th of a second someone's body language. So that just kind of means it's like, I want you to think about your hand gesture, your body movement. If you're slouched over, if you're sitting upright, if you're positioning yourself with your hands underneath your chin. So I want you to think about your body language. Maintaining eye contact. In a virtual world, yes, I agree with you. It is difficult. And when I said maintaining eye contact, I challenged myself to really focus on this green dot in front of me, which is a little challenging, but hopefully I have eye contact as I'm speaking with you. Smiling. Smiling is transferable. I once had a job in sales, and I remember going through training, and they said that it's better to smile because people can hear you, they can feel you smiling. If I said hi versus hi, and I'm smiling right now, it just automatically kind of upbeats my attitude and energy. In examples, I think it's really important to provide concrete examples. Don't say things, avoid, vague language, generalizations. I'm a good employee. Show me you're a good employee. I exceeded my goals by 15%. On average, I met with 20 customers, per day. So try to provide concrete examples and avoid general vague language. Video interviewing. So my top 5 tips: test your technology. Before I started this presentation today, I made sure my audio was on. Emily joined in a few minutes earlier, so I wanted to make sure that she could hear me okay, and she confirmed, which is awesome. Dress for success. Avoid bright colors, and if possible, set the stage for distraction-free video interview. Sometimes we might have roommates, we might have a spouse or children, or we might be in a public setting. Someone might live near a bus terminal where there's, things beyond our control, but just try as hard as possible for distraction free. And I can't stress enough, we're all human. If it happens, it's okay, right? Close any unnecessary web browsers. And then when listening, to show that you're engaged, smile. If someone's asking you a question, nod your head. You really want to just show different ways of engagement. So it's important, I've been talking for the last 10 minutes, the student voice, the student perspective. We have students at CCA that are also work study students as well. And so I just wanted to share 2 tips from 2 of our students. Brian's a second year painting and drawing major. He's a work study student. And 3 tips from Brian. The first one is to be open-minded about the position. Know that this is a temporary position, but if it's something that you love, it can turn into a career or full-time opportunity, right? But just be open-minded. Talk to your supervisor about availability. Be direct. I always tell students, your first priority is being a student, right? So it's really important for you to do well in your studies, allot time for studying. And also, Brian's tip is work should be a distraction from your academic. And I talked to Brian about this question, and he really wanted me to stress that if you're doing something that's, work study or even off campus, make sure that is something that, you enjoy doing, or something that, you're not thinking about school while you're doing it. Another student voice was Faye. Faye is our second year drawing and painting major, a work study student as well. And 2 tips from Faye. Get a job that helps you get connections on campus, and also utilize time to be involved in student resources. So those are 2 different perspectives from Faye and Brian, and I appreciate their contributions as well. So next steps, we talked about resumes, cover letters, interviewing techniques, CCA resources. Emily has spoke. I've introduced myself, so what to do next? Few things. Join Handshake. So at Handshake, that's the job board information. With Handshake, you get to schedule an appointment to meet with myself or our career development team. Check out the career development website, which I just shared with you earlier today. And we also have video resources, including this one, which will be recorded. And FYI, just a plug from our career development office team, we have virtual drop-in hours every Wednesday, the remaining semester, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Stay in touch. So as I stated before, I'm Bukola Deshakan-Cobb. Our team from the Career Development Office, we have Deanna Chavez, Josh Smothers, Artie Samanto, and here's our email address, along with our personal email addresses as well. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and give this opportunity for individuals to ask questions, if you like. No pressure. Anything in the chat section, Emily?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay.
I will put, for the student that's here, our email address if you'd like it.
Thank you, Emily. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for participating. And this will conclude our session for today. Have a wonderful week. And thank you again, Emily, for joining us this morning. And thank you as well, Emma, too. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.